From my office. We are happy to have been guests of Governor Abdul Swamad. He has brought us up to speed on quite a number of issues. And I can say that his explanation of what he wishes to achieve and what he wants to do to be able to enhance the status of his county government is very, very encouraging and inspiring. He has run us through some of the approaches he wants to take to employ technology even more in more efficient delivery of services, revenue collection, and indeed even aspects of further and future planning of the county government. So his brief articulation of these issues have been very, very inspiring, and we want to give him all the support that is necessary. We are here also to confirm that we truly believe in devolution. Devolution has made a big difference in our country, and as we deal with the teething problems that come when this new process is coming into place, we want to reaffirm that as a national government, we cannot go backwards on the aspect of devolution. And one of the challenges that we are facing has been that there has been a delay in the remittances to the county governments in the context of the national revenue sharing mechanism. Not too long ago, the President held a meeting with all the governors in Naivasha, and it was his desire, and it remains his desire, that we shall eventually smoothen the process so that the process of releasing resources to the counties can be accelerated and speeded up, so that the delays we have experienced will in due course become something of the past. So I want to bring that out. We also must commend the governor of Mombasa and his entire team because you have done us proud in the sense that you have been able to moderate very, very seriously the political temperatures in the country. You have done it so well, bearing in mind that Mombasa, as it were, is a gateway to the country. And in fact, it's not just a gateway to the country, it is a gateway to the entire region. So any disruption of Mombasa has got very significant impact, not on just the Kenyan economy, but on the regional economy. Whether you are dealing with DRC, whether you are dealing with Rwanda, whether you are dealing with Burundi, whether you're going to deal with Southern Sudan, and all the countries that have now become part of the East African community, it can be very dangerous to the economies of those countries, and in addition to that, even the political stability of those countries. So I really want to commend you, Governor, that your stand and the stand of the people of this county is not just about where we are. It's about over 300 million people in the region. Any disruption here, the supply chains have been disrupted across the board. So it is so important that we encourage you, we support you, and the residents of this area, that what you are doing is critical for us and for the entire economy. We are facing challenges in terms of the value of the shilling vis-a-vis the dollar. these pressures are coming through, partly because of global events. We all thought that maybe the issues of Russia-Ukraine would end very fast, but it is becoming apparent that this has now extended beyond anybody's imagination. And we have no clear-cut answer as to when that can subside. Now, that has affected global supply chains. We are also seeing a situation where the pressure in the bigger economies is now coming to bear, and interest rates are rising, and in the process, the issue of the dollar vis-a-vis other currencies is beginning to bite. Now, I'm bringing this out to point out that we need the foreign currency coming to our country. And the primary foreign exchange earners for us is, of course, our agricultural exports and tourism. So, if our exports are not doing very well out there, whether it is tea or whether it is coffee, then our fallback position is tourism. And maybe the diaspora remittances. But we now must look at it this way, that in order to bring the costs of living down, we must grow our export earnings, including tourism, so that we can have those resources coming in, and then they can help us to have sufficient foreign currency to deal with the oil imports, to deal with the fertilizer imports, to deal with the food imports, to deal with the medical imports. We need those resources. And we can only do it in a peaceful environment which can allow us to attract what needs to be attracted, and that is tourism and tourists and their resources. So I am speaking to these particular issues in this iconic building, well preserved. They called it Elimu na Mazingira building, to send a very strong message to the people of Kenya that we cannot afford to disrupt the economy. And that is why we are here, to show solidarity with our governor, Abdul Somad, and to say that let us move forward. Election cycles have their constitutional timings. We have just come out of it 6 months ago. We need to move forward as a nation. We cannot keep on going back to an issue that has been canvassed up to the highest court in the land. It has been canvassed and dealt with fully. So we cannot go back there. And we also want to make it very clear that we are a unitary state. A unitary state, but we embrace devolution in accordance with the Constitution. We cannot have two governments. We cannot have two governments. And therefore, we want to tell our leaders in other quarters, please be responsible. Be responsible. Why are you cheating people that you can create a second government in Kenya? Why do you make such reckless statements that you can actually create another government? And you're making these statements when you are seeing very clearly that in our neighboring region, there's already conflict in Sudan, which has flared up. Na wewe mtu mzima, una familia, you had an opportunity to be in a very high office, and you actually cheat Kenyans that you can create two governments in Kenya. Very reckless. So these are the kind of things we need to encourage our people to move away from. Let us give the governor an opportunity to serve, to deliver. His performance contract is with the county of Mombasa and the people who voted for him. And in 5 years' time, they'll be evaluating him and making their decision on the basis of how he has worked and how he has delivered. So let us not distract him. Let us not divert him. Let us make sure that he can deliver. And then his performance contract will be sorted out by the county of Mombasa in the constitutional way. Just the way we are encouraging public servants in both county governments and the national government, that you will enter into performance contracts so that you can deliver to the people that you serve. But the performance contract of the governor, the performance contract of the president, those are the most rigorous performance contracts to sign. They are extremely rigorous. And the parameters of measurement are very broad, very wide. So we must give them time to deliver on the contracts that they signed with the people that they lead, the people that they serve. Thank you so much, and we say heko to you.
Asante.
Governor, we'll keep on coming time and again, and we look at you as a critical beacon in stabilizing the economies of the region, not just Kenya, but the region.
Thank you.
Asante.
Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the Governor of Mombasa. We will quickly take 2 questions. We will start with the lady in front of me, your name, the media house you represent, the question.
Thank you very much. I have 3 questions.
And tell us where you're directing it, whether to him or to me.
My name is Ring Etieno from the Daily Nation. You've talked about delayed intermittence. 12 counties, including Mombasa, data proposed. How soon will the national government be able to remit funds to counties? Secondly, you've talked about tourism, and currently we have received the information that the Turkish airline, the national government has denied its license to fly directly to us. And you elaborated the plans that the government has to boost. So how will Mombasa get numbers if we don't have direct flights? And thirdly, to the governor, Mr. Mudavadi has talked about Mombasa not participating in the Maandamano. And we saw your deputy governor, some MCAs working here in Maandamano, Bangladesh. Can we have your word to talk on Maandamano with us? Thank you.
I'll answer that.
Okay. So you
Would you want to respond to that, or we take the final one?
I can respond. I'm going to try and recall all. First, there is no strike notice that has been done. As a matter of fact, the communication that has come from the doctors' union was categorical that it is not a strike notice, but they are not going to be able to go to work. My plea, of course, to the doctors is that as we are pushing national government, who coincidentally, I think in the month of April will be one of the highest in terms of remittances because of how budget cycles go. So we are hoping that funding will be able to come. But I want it to be clear, we are 4 months behind in terms of remittances. However, at the same time, we have just been unable to pay that 1 month. So you can imagine that we are trying as our own, as a county. There are other issues that have already engaged the Coast General Teaching Referral Hospital on how they now need to start absorbing those medics who are currently working at Coast General Hospital, but their payroll is coming from the county government, so that we can have a level of independence, and our wage bill as a county government can go lower, and the funding can be then used for purposes of non-recurrent expenses. The second issue that you, so yes, my hope is that one, the letter that they wrote was that it is not a strike notice, but that they will not be able to go to work. There's a true difference there. My plea to them, of course, is that please do realize that this is something that is affecting literally everyone, not just in Mombasa. It's affecting everyone in the whole of Kenya. We have two options. Either everyone decides they don't want to do anything and they down their tools, and we make the whole country not to be able to move, or we realize that where we are currently is not where we were. Where we are currently, we've been able to pay. We're paying, in fact, with all statutory reductions. There's no reduction that is not being remitted. We've paid all previous debts, we as a county, so we are doing our best. The issue of, you indicated about MCAs and other leaders having been in demonstrations. The Constitution of Kenya, they have their right to be able to do what it is, but currently the stand of the governor of Mombasa is that to avoid and avert. Right now, one of our biggest reasons as to why we're even breathing and floating and managing to pay our debt on time, and giving that issue that within 90 days everyone has to be paid, is because of on-source revenue. I need to ensure that the people of Mombasa will be able to grow. So I will not deny anyone their constitutional right, but at the same time, I have millions of people who are looking up on me, and none of them is going to see anything else except people want to know where they're going to be getting their bread and butter from.
Thank you. There is a gentleman.
No, I have to deal with one or two issues. First of all, I spoke and I acknowledged that there has been a delay in the remittances to the county governments. And I just want to assure you that as a national government, we are working towards resolving that issue, not just in dealing with what is outstanding, but to look at a process that will be smoother and then ensure that county governments get their resources on time. And this is an issue that is being discussed jointly with the National Treasury, and sooner than later we are going to make a more detailed pronouncement on how we intend to solve this problem. But I can assure you we are not happy that there is a delay. We know that it's putting a lot of pressure on the county governments, and we intend to resolve that particular issue. Be that as it may, I want to take a little more time, maybe just another 2 minutes, to explain that the crisis that Kenya is facing is much bigger than we may imagine. Yesterday, when I spoke to the iftar, I gave an example of the commitments that the Kenya government entered into. Very, very demanding commitments to the people of Kenya, which we are not about to run away from, but which we have to deal with. Okay? Because they are commitments that were entered into by the previous regime. But remember, government is a government in perpetuity. So when sovereign commitments have been made, it's the responsibility of the government to tackle those sovereign commitments. Some of them are unpleasant, they are painful, but they were made. All right? And I gave an example that on one of the programs that the previous government entered into, the demand is that every January there must be a payment of 40 billion Kenya shillings. And then 6 months later, in July, to the same commitment, there must be another payment of 40 billion shillings. Now, these are commitments that have a primary charge on the consolidated fund. So you cannot run away from those commitments. And those commitments have an impact on the rest of the economy. All right? I'm speaking to this very, very carefully because some of the people shouting loudest in the streets are part and parcel of the signatures and commitments that I am talking about. So, as a country, we have to deal with it. And we have to deal with it in a balanced way because how much more can you tax the people of Kenya? So we have to rationalize a lot of things as we move across and as we move forward. Because there are so many other commitments. I've not talked about the Eurobonds. I've not talked about so many other commitments. I've just talked of one particular area. So there is a big challenge in that context. And we should talk about the economy, understanding the background of where we are coming from. We are coming from an all-time low, and we have to build our way upwards going into the future. Now, if I now come to, say, the Turkish Airlines, it is important, and at least I've had the privilege of having served also as a Minister for Transport at one time or the other. When you are negotiating arrangements with airlines, it's a very complex issue. Because one, Kenya itself has a national carrier in the name of Kenya Airways. So as you negotiate what you might call flight arrangements or destinations and what have you, you also have to put in balance what does that have on your own national airline. Are there reciprocal arrangements that are being granted to Kenya Airways? Okay? You and I know that Kenya Airways is facing a challenge. It's our national flag carrier. So there are issues also around there that we also have to balance. So these are factors that are taken into account when you're having the communication. At some stage, it may then make economic sense to everybody to say that now we can make this arrangement or that arrangement, but also ask yourself the very fundamental question. At times, what is your national interest as Kenyans? In all the programs that we are putting on the table, what is the national strategic interest of the people of Kenya? So as we discuss with other airlines, these are issues that our negotiators must always have in mind before the final decision is made. Asante.
Thank you very much. One more question. Last one question. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm confused with others.
Yes.
My name is Philip.
I can't hear you.
Online, paper, times.
Yes.
My question was the national government, not the government. I saw you mentioning the issue of this struggling parastatal. You want to build an organ. What's the position at the moment?
Okay. It's quite a long process because parastatals or state-owned enterprises across the board, they have to be rationalized. And it's an ongoing process that we are thinking through so that, one, we start being more careful and planning our future better in the establishment of these entities. Today, we have about 348 public enterprises. 348. We need to know how much of them are contributing to the exchequer and how many are a drain to the exchequer. And I'll be pronouncing myself systematically on these issues. But let me just give an example. That out of the 348 enterprises, about 79 of these enterprises are called public entities that are for profit. That are for profit. That means that they ought to make profit and pay a dividend to the exchequer. As we speak today, only 5% of those 79 are actually paying dividends to the exchequer. The others have now become dependent on the exchequer, out of the 79 that I've talked about in that category. But remember, they are regulatory public enterprises. They are public universities. They are TVETs. There are others that are research institutions and so forth. So there's a whole category of all these entities. And some are duplicating. That's the reality. Some of them are doing jobs that can be done by already existing entities. So as we go forward, we have some painful decisions to make as a nation, but professionally, after clear audit of these entities, then the hard decisions will come, and when hard decisions are made, we'll all be called together, including our parliaments, to look at some of these and be able to provide a proper way forward.
Asante sana Bwana Waziri Mkuu, Mheshimiwa Waziri Mkuu. Shukran sana Mheshimiwa Governor Abdulsamad ambaye ndio mwenyeji wetu asubuhi ya leo. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Afan Sharif ambaye ndio naibu waziri, pamoja na Mheshimiwa Ikana mbunge wetu, pamoja na chairman wa ANC. Na shukrani za dhati kwenu nyinyi wote wenzangu wanahabari kwa kufika na kutusikiliza. We come to the end of this press conference. I thank you most sincerely. Thank you very much.
Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much. How is my friend there?